So, as an answer to the question I posed in the last example, who is going to gain and who is going to lose from this tariff? When we're looking at domestic economy in Australia, which is importing motorbikes, there are really two interest groups that we've already looked at before that are involved, and those are producers and consumers. Now, there's one extra group that is involved in this equation because a tariff is a tax on imports. Who do you think collects the tax? It's the government, of course. So the government is the third player in this equation. So how is welfare distributed? Well, before we do the analysis, let's think about it logically. It's really a logical question. What's happening to the price domestically of motorbikes? The price is going up. So are consumers going to be happy? No. They're going to have to pay more than the lowest world price for this good. Are producers happy? Yes. They're going to be able to sell it for a higher price, and it's going to really wear away the competitive effect of having to compete with a low-cost international producer. As is stated in the lecture, the producers are usually the ones that lobby for these tariffs in order to protect their industry and to increase their profits. We will talk about this more in later chapters. But the thing you do have to realize is that consumers are going to lose and producers are going to win. The question is, does the economy win or lose as a whole? Well, let's try and answer it. Recall your consumer and producer surplus analysis. Let's start with producers. Before the tariff at the world price, so before the tariff we're considering the situation at this price, you can see that at the price of 300, producers are only getting area G. So their market share is being taken away by a lower cost producer internationally. They're not getting that much surplus. Do recall that producer surplus is above the supply curve and below the current price. So their gain before the tariff is going to be G. What about the welfare effect for consumers at the world price of 300? Well, they're going to be quite happy. They're going to be able to buy motorbikes much cheaper than they could domestically. So their surplus is going to be this whole triangle here. Do recall that consumer surplus is the area above the price and below the demand curve. So looking at that, their surplus is area E plus F plus A plus B plus C plus D. So they're quite happy. The government, before the tariff, is not getting anything. So they start off with nothing. Now, what's going to happen after the tariff is enforced? We're essentially going to operate from a price that is higher. So after the tariff, we're going to have price, world price, plus the tariff. This is the $330 that we were discussing before. So at $330, what is the welfare, what is the producer surplus at this price? Well, it's going to be area G and A. So G plus A. What is the net effect? Do producers gain? We've already said they do. They gain area A. So the net is producers gain A. Now at 330, what is the remaining consumer surplus? It's going to be the area above the price and below the demand curve, which is area E and F. Now you can see that they're losing quite a few areas. E and F stays the same, but they're losing A, B, C, and D. Okay, what about the government? Well, the government collects area C as a tax. So while they had nothing to start with, the government is gaining area C, which is a net effect of plus C. Let's add these up to see what the net result for the economy is. So plus A and negative A cancel out. Plus C and negative C cancel out. We are left with negative B and negative D. So the conclusion is that as an economy, as a country, we lose. Tariffs are a negative sum game. Why? Because we restrict trade with the lowest cost producers. We redirect this trade to higher cost domestic producers by increasing the price. These areas B and D are also known by two different names. So area B is below the supply curve. This is something called the producer effect. And area D is below the demand curve. This is something called the consumer effect. Both of these effects are something that we call deadweight losses. A deadweight loss is a portion of consumer and producer surplus which is lost and not given to anyone else. So it's taken away and nobody else gets it. This is a deadweight loss. This deadweight loss of negative B, the producer effect, occurs because the people trading in motorbikes here are not all the lowest cost producers. So they might be not as efficient at making this good. The area D, which is the consumer deadweight loss, it results from consumers having to pay a higher price. All you really need to remember is that this is the net effect for the country, and we can see this deadweight loss equally on the market for motorbike imports. B and D are a deadweight loss. The conclusion? Tariffs do not benefit the economy. But why are they enacted? Why is the government motivated to implement them? We're going to talk about this later in the course.